Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This is our first webinar. We'll be covering the 8 steps to marketing that works, the basics of marketing, and providing an overview of how to create your very own marketing plan. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, please feel free to ask them through the chat feature. I'll be pausing periodically to answer them and field any additional questions. Between the presentation I've prepared and the questions, I'm estimating this webinar will take between an hour to an hour and a half. So if you need to jump off at any point, just feel free. We'll be sending the recording out either later this afternoon or tomorrow sometime, so you can catch up on anything you may have missed. So let's get started. So let's bring marketing back to the basics. Before we can dig into your marketing plan, we really need to understand its role in business. And to do that, we need to understand the basic purpose of business. And to understand the basic purpose of business, I always like to go back to that classic source, Peter Drucker, one of the fathers of modern American business and business enterprises. And he says the business enterprise has two and only two basic functions, which is marketing and innovation. So let's take that just a little bit further. Why do businesses need to market and innovate? Well, the reasons why businesses need to market and innovate is to solve problems. No matter what the business, customers don't become customers for no reason. They become customers because you offer the solutions to their problems. So think about the last time that you had a problem. Who did you seek out to help you solve it? And what solution did they provide for you? So let's just take a look at a few simple examples. This one right here, like it's the middle of the day, you're falling asleep at your desk. I'm sure we've all been there. So the business you go to solve that problem is you walk down the street to the local coffee shop, and their solution is for you to buy a coffee. There's also, you have a faucet that's been dripping for the past week. It's been driving you nuts and you have no clue how to fix it. So you call your local handyman business who provides you with that solution, repairing your faucet in just 15 minutes. Similar with, retail. You're putting your shoes on one day, you realize that the soles of your favorite shoes are wearing thin, so you go to the local shoe store to buy a new pair of shoes. No matter what the business, every business has this pattern of problem and solution. No business exists by itself without solving some sort of problem for its customers. So let's think about your business. What problems do you solve? What's your innovation? What makes you different or better than other solutions that are out there? You most likely, no matter what business you're in, are providing a service that others also provide to some extent. So does that mean you aren't innovating? Well, if you think about it, innovation isn't always invention. Those two are not synonyms. Innovation doesn't always mean that you're providing a new way of doing things. Innovation means that you're providing an opportunity for yourself and those around you to make their lives better. So whether that's your customers, your employees, yourself, you're seeking to provide better opportunities through the way that you're doing things and what it is that you're providing to the market. Peter Drucker, again, says this very well in his book, Management, that innovation can be defined as the task of endowing human and material resources with new and greater wealth-producing capacity. So let's take a look at some examples of innovation at work. First example, let's just say this gal named Jackie opens a nail salon in a town with 25 other salons. Jackie knows all of those theories about unique selling propositions, innovation, etc., but she thinks that she's just like every other nail salon. So how can Jackie innovate? Well, first, Jackie needs to figure out what problem she's solving for the market. Some examples could be, for instance, one problem, other salons in the area are forcing customers to wait long times, both where they have to make a long time to make an appointment or schedule an appointment, or if they have to wait a long time like up to 15 minutes or so when they've arrived for their appointment. Another problem that's in the market could potentially be that other salons have poor customer experiences, whether it's because of unfriendly staff or the salon itself just isn't a pleasant environment or any other issues. That's another problem in the market that she could solve. And a third problem could be other salons don't use non-toxic polish. They use conventional products. And like with the rest of the beauty industry, maybe non-toxic polish is getting a bigger and bigger market, but no one in that local area is meeting the demand. So what Jackie can do is she can figure out how to provide solutions to the problems differently or better than her competition. That's how she innovates. Here's some examples of how she could be innovating. Jackie could implement policies that make her attractive to nail artists, which help her recruit more staff and reduces staff turnover, which means that her clients aren't having to wait weeks on ends to make an appointment. She could also be very careful in how she books appointments, so like not overbooking, including a good buffer in appointments and just in case things go wrong and an artist needs extra time with a client, so that clients really have to wait when they arrive for their appointment. Both of these systems would allow her to consistently service more clients than her competitors, which solves this first problem of long wait times. Another way she could innovate is to she could be very careful to set the right expectations with her clients. She could display a wide portfolio on her website so clients understand her salon's capabilities and the skills of her nail artists. She could work very hard with an interior designer to create a warm, welcoming, and comfortable atmosphere. She could implement new technologies and new systems such as online booking, an easy-to-use payment system, a loyalty program, all those sorts of things to better serve her clients. But most importantly, she could seek out honest review and feedback from her customers so she has directly from them what sort of experience they would like when they're in her salon. And another innovation is to solve this third problem. She could implement practices to keep the salon environmentally friendly. She could carefully research ways to use non-toxic products in her salon, familiarize her nail artists with how to use non-toxic polish. This may limit her attractiveness for potential clients looking for the conventional options, but it does give her a nice niche and platform because she's providing that new option. She's meeting that need in the market for people who do value the non-toxic methods and integrating non-toxic lifestyle into their beauty routines. So there's one example. Here's another example that may be a little bit trickier to figure out the innovations. Let's say this guy named Peter does woodworking as a hobby. He creates beautiful custom cutting boards sourced from local woods. And a friend recently tells him that he could turn his hobby into a successful side business. Peter's doubtful, though, because he thinks he just has a fun hobby and he isn't bringing anything new to the market. So, how can a cutting board be innovative? In this instance, Peter needs to realize that not every problem has to be felt and not every problem has to be major. You can meet needs within your market that may seem small, relatively speaking. So for instance, one problem, you have customers who need to buy a unique gift, like someone needs to buy a present for a Christmas gift exchange and doesn't know what that person who has everyone that we all know would enjoy or would appreciate. Another problem he could solve is that customers want durable and sustainably produced household items. Like for instance, maybe there's a recently engaged couple who's being very careful about the items that they put on their registry for their new household. They want products that are as sustainably produced as possible and heirloom quality so that they'll last a really long time. He could also be solving problems for customers who are looking for custom products. Let's say, for instance, a food stylist needs a very large board for an upcoming shoot and can't find anything either online or in local stores. So this is how Peter can recognize his niche in the market. He can bring innovation to these different markets with his cutting board in a couple different ways. First of all, he meets this first problem because his boards are unique, so they're ideal for that hard to shop for friend or relative. He could even work with that food stylist to put together a nice prepackaged charcuterie and wine gift. That would be a really unique present for someone who has everything. Another innovation is his cutting boards are made by hand from locally sourced wood, which makes them perfect for that couple's home because they're sustainable, they're durable, and they're heirloom quality. And finally, he can meet this third problem because his cutting boards are by nature unique. If he doesn't have one pre-made, he can create just the right piece custom so that food stylists who needs just the right cutting board can go to Peter and say, hey, I need the cutting board in this dimensions, in this color, and Peter can create it perfectly for them. So hopefully with this, you can see that every single business, even those very specialized businesses, can operate with this problem solving and innovative mindset. It doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter what business you're in, it doesn't matter what market or industry you're in. You can operate with this problem solution formula. Your ability to innovate is limited only by your observations of the market, your willingness to listen to your customers' problems, and your imagination in providing solutions. So the question then is, what does marketing have to do with all of this? Well, boiled down to the basics, marketing is how you tell people that your innovation is a solution to their problems. Many companies, especially I know small businesses, have kind of a if you build it, they will come mentality about marketing. They think that if you have a great product, people will naturally discover it. Unfortunately, they couldn't be more wrong. The history of business is filled with examples of technically superior products losing out to the better marketers. Just think about IBM versus Apple when they're first starting. Go back even further, you have Betamax versus VHS. You even have the stereotypical tale of the fast food franchise who comes in and takes business away from the mom and pop diner. So you have to remember that every prospect must hear from you and buy from you in order for your business to exist and remain sustainable. Otherwise, you're just someone with a nice idea. And if you have a product-based business, potentially you have thousands of dollars invested in assets and inventory. So marketing, therefore, is all about effectively communicating your innovation. So how do you effectively communicate your innovation? Well, to effectively communicate, you have to know who your audience is, so your people, what your audience is interested in, so the problems and solutions, and how to say what you want in a way that interests, and especially if you're trying to sell them something, persuades your audience, which is your messaging. Let's break down each of these components to marketing and see exactly what each one includes. So for people, you need to know who these people are. For instance, how many are there? How do you identify them? What are they like? What are they interested in? For the problems and solutions, you need to know what problems they have, what solutions they need, and whether or not you provide those solutions. So, do they know that they have these problems? Do they think about their problems? And what solution do they expect? And how can you innovate? And then with the messaging, sorry, that was this down here. So do they know they have problems? What do they think about their problems? What solution do they expect? Is this the same as what they actually need? And what innovative solution do you provide? And then with the messaging, you have to be asking, how do you find your audience? How do you communicate with your audience? What are they going to find persuasive? How do you talk about your innovation in a persuasive manner? And that lets them know that your option is the best solution to their problem. So this is the components, each of these components in marketing. If you think about marketing as answering all of these questions and the way that you answer all of these questions, that's the basics of marketing. So how do you do it? What's next? Well, you may be thinking that your next step is to just go ahead and get to work. You start running the ads, you start putting up the flyers, you build the website, you start running a social media page, you hire an SEO company, all those things. This, unfortunately, is where many businesses go wrong. They automatically think that's what they need to do. They jump into action without a plan. So they build that website, they start that social media campaign, they hire that SEO agency without planning and knowing exactly where they're going. So then, what is that first step to marketing your innovation? If you don't just jump into action, what do you need to do? Well, to market your innovation effectively, you need to create a strategy for your marketing tactics. Okay, what's the difference between tactics and strategy? So I know strategy can be a bit of an intimidating word sometimes. It can lead to thoughts of complex processes and theoretical concepts. And while strategies can become complex, strategy itself is a relatively simple concept. So what is it? At its basic level, strategy is the big picture planning that must happen before you act. This differs from the tactics, which are the actions that you take to implement your plan. So in other words, the individual efforts, for instance, the things you usually associate with marketing, like the website, the SEO, the social media, those are all tactics. The way that you plan your steps and put them all together is the strategy. Let's use Jackie's salon as an example. Jackie puts up a billboard. She's advertising. She puts a decal with her salon's name and website on the back of her car. That's promotion. She starts blogging. That's content or search engine marketing. She asks a local newspaper to write a public interest piece about her non-toxic and environmentally friendly processes. That's publicity, which is a subset of public relations. She can host an open house event and talk to her attendees about the benefits of going to her salon, how much she'll enjoy her salon, those, etc. That's all sales. All of this right here are the tactics. The way that Jackie figured out and planned how she was going to tell people about her salon is the strategy. Understanding the difference between tactics and strategy is critical to successful marketing. Let's think about how you'd go about building your dream home. You don't just start off renting a tractor and digging a foundation. You have to plan. So you start off brainstorming and dreaming about the type of home that you'd like. How big, how many bedrooms and bathrooms, what's your favorite kitchen layout? Do you want to build a custom room for your hobbies? What furnishings and materials do you want to use in your house? Those sorts of things. Next, you have an architect take your vision and lay it out on paper, give you 3D renderings, plan out the behind the scenes things like plumbing lines, wiring, etc. So everyone involved in building your home knows what they're supposed to do. You also have to get an engineer to take a look at the blueprints to make sure your dream home won't come tumbling down, and then get the plans approved by the necessary permitting departments. This is all the strategy to build your home. Only after you've completed the planning phase can you break ground and hire the tacticians. So, the contractors, the carpenters, the electricians, the painters, to build your dream home. And then your dream home is reality. But imagine if the tacticians didn't have a plan. The workers laying the foundation wouldn't know where to dig. The carpenters wouldn't know where to construct the walls. The electricians wouldn't know where to run the wires for the light fixtures. And the painter wouldn't have anything to paint. So your dream home would just remain a dream. If you didn't take the time to plan a solid strategy for building a home, your tacticians would be in complete chaos trying to figure out what to do and how to get it done. But if you take the time to construct a solid plan, everyone involved knows exactly what to do, and then your dream home can become a reality. It's the same thing for marketing. Just like blueprints are critical to building a home, a marketing plan is critical to building a business. Unfortunately, many businesses don't see it this way. We see it happen all the time. For instance, a business owner hears in a webinar that SEO is the key to success. So she throws thousands of dollars at an SEO specialist only to be disappointed when she doesn't get any prospective clients from his efforts. The owner is now very hesitant to pour any further money into anything related to content or search engine marketing and misses out on a lot of great opportunities. Another example, a marketing manager needs to plan the company's annual conference, but a consultant tells the CEO that all businesses need to be on Facebook. So the marketing manager is told to put all of her projects on hold and dedicate her time to figuring out how to run a Facebook feed, only for her boss to get frustrated when her efforts don't get any engagement. On top of that, she now has to rush the conference planning, so the event, which normally brings in a good number of new clients for them every year, doesn't have a good turnout. Another example, a small store gets regular foot traffic, but the owner wants to try out some digital marketing. So, he just tells an intern to throw up a website to build their online presence. The intern takes a look at some of the brochures about the products sold in the store, uploads them into a template. Unfortunately, the website draws very little traffic and funnels no prospective customers into the store. So the owner now thinks that anything digital is a waste of time and misses out on a huge market opportunity. So jumping into marketing tactics without taking the time to plan leads to that shiny object syndrome. It wastes your time, your money, and most importantly, your opportunities. Time and again, it sets you up for frustration, stress, and disillusionment. This is why taking the time to plan and strategize is so important before beginning any marketing tactics. Now, just want you to know, tactics are not less important than strategy. The best plans in the world mean absolutely nothing without the work to implement them. And at a certain point, we do have to stop thinking and planning and actually get to work on making our business better and making our marketing better. It's, however, important to realize that strategy must come before tactics. You have to know where you're headed and what you're doing before you start moving. So, how do you do this? What's the solution? This is the 8 steps to a marketing plan that we lead all of our clients through. It consistently has gotten our clients more customers, implement both creating the plan, and then when they implement this plan, it gets our clients consistent results, helps them meet their goals, and more importantly, helps them expand their brand in a strategic fashion so that they're not wasting time and money. So here are the steps. First, you have to know your why, so you have to articulate your passion. Second, you have to know your who, you have to understand your audience. Third, you have to know your what, and you'll craft your offer. Fourth, you have to know your how, so developing your messaging. Fifth, you can start building your audience, getting the ball rolling. Sixth, you can nurture your audience, so you're communicating to convert. 7, you need to figure out how to satisfy your customers by systematically solving their problems. And finally, you can leverage your customers by using them to grow your audience. And I just want you to know, I have these divided for a reason. These top 4, when we walk through them with our clients, often feel kind of esoteric and very visionary. When you're walking through them, you can kind of get an idea of where you're headed, but it often feels very strategic and like it doesn't have a point. They do have a point though, and that is that they are the foundational pillars of your overall marketing plan. Once you have those foundational pillars in place, then you can clearly build the tactical applications, which is these last 8 steps. These 4 is where most people like to jump to. These will not make sense. These will be very difficult to put together and to analyze and to correctly prioritize without walking through these top 4.